President Tinubu is about to borrow again. And at this moment, he is not borrowing in millions or billions. He's going to borrow in trillions. In fact, we are looking at 37.302 trillion naira. That is what we'll be looking at in this very video. That Tinubu is about, he has asked the Senate to approve the borrowing of 37.302 trillion naira. That is what we'll be looking at here in Noble Media. Our goal is always to give you up-to-date information as it is dropping, because here we believe that knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So if you have not subscribed, kindly click on subscribe. If you have not liked this video, click on like right now, as we'll be reviewing this current move. It is happening now. This current move of President Tinubu to borrow another money. Don't forget that he has borrowed quite a lot. In fact, he has borrowed quite a lot within the first 24 months of his administration. Reps approves Tinubu's 37.302 trillion borrowing plan for 2025 to 2026. So at the moment, the House of Reps, our senators, the reps, has already approved it. It's not that Tinubu wants to, is still dreaming of it. The plan to borrow this 37 trillion is already approved. Now let's begin to look at it very well. The loan will comprise of $21.194 billion, 2.194 billion euros, and 15 million Japanese yen for 2025 to 2026. Approved total loan size of Section 1 Phase 1 of Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway project from $700 million to $747 million. Now let us give you the news in detail. Of course, you already know here in Noble Tutorial, in Noble Media, our work is to give you the news and analyze it for you. The House of Representatives on Wednesday, that is today, approved President Bola Tinubu's request for a total facility of various projects and programs under the 2025-2026 external borrowing plan, estimated at 37.302 trillion, comprising of 21 billion 890 million 647,912 then 2 billion 193 2 trillion 193 2 trillion the money is even too big for me to call. 2 billion 193 million 856,224 naira 54 kobo and 15 million Japanese yen and 65 million euros grant respectively. Now we must move on. At the current exchange rate of $1 to 1,519 naira 12 kobo, this money is equivalent to 33 billion or so at official rates. Let's move on. The figures are just so much. I don't know what you make of it. What do you think of all this borrowing, these big figures? How is it affecting the life of the common man and woman? Breakdown of the external borrowing plan at federal government is to borrow is all the figures I've given to you. They say federal and state project will take 2.730 billion, while cluster state projects stand at $606.700 million. 120 million, while states are to access 2-point-something trillion dollars and 350 million euros respectively. Okay, now let's look at it, what the lawmakers say. The lawmakers who resolved to embark on annual recess till Tuesday, 23rd September, our lawmakers are even going on holiday to go and rest. That is part of the funny things. That's why people like us has always clamored for and encouraged most third world nations in Africa to, the lawmakers should be on part-time, like what is obtainable in most European countries, right? The lawmakers who resolved to embark on annual recess till 23rd September 2025 also approved 757 billion 983 million 246,571 naira to be raised through the issuance of federal government bonds in the domestic debt market, as well as capital raising of up to $2 billion in the domestic debt market towards the implementation of the Presidential Executive Order on Foreign Currency Denominated Financial Instrument Local Insurance Program. These are money that the federal government keep getting, borrowing, taking, and we are really not seeing anything. What do you think? What do you have to say about all these humongous figures that the Tinubu government is borrowing and spending? The approval were granted after the adoption of recommendation of 3 reports led by the House Committee on Aid, Loans and Debt Management, which were considered during the Committee on Supply. According to the report led by Chairman House Committee on House Committee on Aid, Loans and Debt Management, Honorable Abubakar Nararaba, the committee noted as follows: in connection with the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway project, the total loan size for the Section 1 of Phase 1 of the project is $747 million, as opposed to the $700 million stated in the draft borrowing plan. That means they added extra $47 million. Hey. This is because of the time of transmission of the plan to the National Assembly. The lead arranger for financing only had financing commitment of up to $700 million from lenders. The shortfall in the financing was covered ultimately by export credit agencies. This, therefore, necessitates the need to increase the value of the financing for the project by $47 million to ensure it aligns with the loan size agreed in the financial document for the project. How do you feel about all these big figures you are hearing, especially when the big figures are coming in euros, coming in dollars? The Nigerian Universal Communication Access Project, a landmark telecommunication infrastructure project targeted at bridging the digital divide through the deployment of 7,000 telecommunication towers across underserved and unserved communities in Nigeria, and pivotal to the advancing of government renewed hope agenda. You know, government agenda, Tinubu's agenda is called renewed hope. Some people have called it renewed shege, but officially it's called renewed hope. And accelerating sustainable economic growth and development was inadvertently omitted in the computation of the borrowing plan. The omission of this critical project will cause significant harm to public interest. Total facility of the project is $300 million. The borrowing plan does not equate to actual new borrowing for the 2025 fiscal year, as it has already been captured in the midterm expenditure framework, covering both the federal and subnational government, as indicated in Table 2. Most MDAs are unable to implement, that is, department agencies are unable to implement their capital projects effectively due to long delays in funding the disbursement. The loan will go a long way to address this challenge. Inclusion of this project in the National External Borrowing Plan will enable financial closure and timely implementation. Do you think they will not embezzle? Do you think even when these loans are gotten, that snakes and monkeys will not carry them away, as we have always heard in Nigeria. The projects were selected based on positive economic evaluation as well as the expected contribution to the socio-economic development of the country, including employment generation, skill acquisition, support for the emergence of more entrepreneurs, and poverty reduction. This is the reason. Let's look at the reason they are giving for this money, for borrowing this huge 37 trillion. They say it's employment generation, to create employment opportunity, skill acquisition, support for the emergence of more entrepreneurs, and poverty reduction. Now let's move on. Remember, in this channel, we give you up-to-date information, up-to-date news, because knowledge is power. If you have not joined, please click on join to be a member of this YouTube channel. Also, subscribe. Remember to like this video and also share it at the end. The proposed borrowing will be sourced from Nigeria's development partners that offer concessional financing involving low interest rates, because these loans, we are going to be paying interest on them, moratorium and long repayment period, thereby supporting Nigerian development objectives sustainably. The loans are meant to support the federal government in strengthening financial and human resources management in basic education and primary healthcare subsector. Part of the loan will also be, remember that this year alone, the Tinubu administration has also borrowed a lot. This is not the first time. Part of the loan will also be used to fund priority projects such as railways, security, agriculture, power plants, housing, and digital connectivity to boost productivity. Projects such as the Hope Health Education and Governance, $1.5 billion. Construction of fiber optic network across Africa, $980 million. Sustainable power and rural access and agricultural market project scale up, $500 million, to name a few. We create millions of direct and indirect jobs, lower food inflation, and lead to increased export earning. This is what they are saying, how they are justifying the borrowing. Supporting external reserve and stabilizing the naira. How can you be talking about stabilizing the naira when you are borrowing? Anytime a government borrows, its currency must nosedive. Unlike loans, the grant component, that is 65 million euros, does not require repayment, which provides a rare opportunity for climate resilience and gender empowerment. Despite the additional borrowings, the federal government debt portfolio remains stable at over 145 trillion naira. Debt to GDP ratio of about 50% is within the international threshold, 56%. The current administration has succeeded in reducing the high debt service to revenue ratio from over 90% to less than 70%. This is how they are justifying. But you watching this video, if you are a Nigerian and you are in Nigeria, come under the comment of this video and tell us what you think and how you feel about this current borrowing and other borrowings your government have done in the recent past. The federal government capacity to service the new debt is bolstered by the anticipated revenue gains from the Nigerian Tax Act 2025, projected to grow by over 18 year-on-year starting from 20. So the way they want to finance the borrowing is to tax Nigerians, tax businesses, tax people. This revenue expansion reduces the risk of future debt distress and provides a buffer for debt servicing. The proposed loans are spread across multiple concessional sources with long tenure and low interest rates. As such, the additional debt will have an insignificant impact on debt servicing obligations in the short term, while ensuring catalytic investment in critical sectors that make room for improved domestic source mobilization. Oh, We must now move on. The committee further noted that 12 states, Abia, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, listen to know if your own state, if you are a Nigerian, is among them. Abia, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Kaduna, Katsina, Lagos, Niger, Oyo, Sokoto, Yobe, and Zamfara will benefit from concessional loans for various infrastructural projects, including roads, clean energy, waterways, as well as human capital development, notably education and healthcare. The report read in part, to this end, the committee recommends that the House should approve the sum of 757 trillion 757 billion 983 million 246,571 naira only to be raised through the issuance of federal government bonds in the domestic debt market. On the proposed request for approval for establishment of foreign currency denominated insurance program in the domestic debt market, the House approved the committee recommendation to approve the capital raising of up to $2 billion in the domestic debt market towards the implementation of the Presidential Executive Order on Foreign Currency Denominated Financial Instrument Local Issuance Program. According to the report, this request is pursuant to the provision of Section 44(1)(2) of the Fiscal Responsibility Act FRA 2007, which requires the approval of National Assembly for all new borrowings, and Section 1, subsection 7 of the capital raising, further to this provision of the FRA 2007, which defines the use of proceeds of all borrowings and requires cost-benefits analysis of capital raising. Now, to conclude, this initiative is anchored on the Presidential Executive Order number 16 of 2023 titled Foreign Currency Denominated Financial Instrument Local Issuance Program and Related Matters. Tinubu. The program aligns with Nigeria's macroeconomic objective to diversify funding sources, strengthen the domestic financial market, and integrate non-formal foreign currency holding into the national economy. This is what the Tinubu administration wants to do right now, borrowing upon borrowing upon borrowing upon borrowing. Of course, they have also said that they will finance the borrowing through taxation, the new tax policy, and all the rest. Please come under the comment of this video and make your voice heard. Let us know what you think about all this. If you are a Nigerian, let us know. If you are a Nigerian watching outside Nigeria, also let us know. Don't forget to like this video right now, share this video also, and also click on subscribe. There's an important video on the screen. Click on it and watch now.